What's up, guys? So this is part 2 of training karate at home. Today we're going to look at blocks, uke, or to receive in Japanese. And we're going to talk about a principle-based or concept-based approach to the traditional karate blocks. First things first, we're not going to do the traditional, horse stance, alternating rising blocks and middle blocks and stuff like that. We're going to try to put some context into it. So I always think about the fighting stance when your two hands are up on guard as like a shield with your front arm and a spear or a sword with your second arm. What I mean by that is this front arm is receiving most of it, right? And you see boxers do that, right? They kind of paw at the jab that comes in, they kind of knock things down. But this one here is stayed up on guard, protecting the face. The same thing happens if you're in like a traditional karate looking fighting stance, right? You have one hand forward that kind of does all the maneuvers and stuff like that, and so you can throw that power shot with the back, right? Or that same logic applies to your traditional blocks. So I would look at blocks in two different ways. One is, am I jamming and intercepting, so my body weight's going forward, or am I receiving and redirecting? The jamming and intercepting one is pretty straightforward. It allows you to move forward and do your blocks, right? So do your conventional blocks. So you have your rising block, you have your middle block, you have your round block, you even have your down block when you go forward, right? So you see, if I did that all on this, I'm intercepting and going forward and using my body weight as like a battering ram to move the obstruction to the side, right, or down, so that I get access to the opponent here. Now, where the second hand comes in is when you do these alternating blocks, it's essentially feeding from the first hand, the shield to the sword, right? The shield to the back arm. So if I did my rising block here and I receive this attack, I can return it with a block of its own, right? With the back arm. Or this would be an elbow break or a lock. I can return it and feed it to my other arm, right? And look, you're essentially doing the rising block motion, but now you're thinking of it in context as the first arm's receiving, the second arm is the counter, right? So if I did rising block strike, I can rise block feed and strike it as well. There's always like grips on the limb that you just blocked. So you're thinking, am I round block to middle block? Am I middle block to round block? Am I high block to down block? Am I down block to high block? Right? I'm saying all these things as blocks because these are your traditional looking or traditionally labeled blocks. But again, you should be thinking, am I receiving it to redirect it, or am I intercepting it to drive through? Am I intercepting it to drive through? Intercepting it here to drive through? Or am I redirecting it to my second arm? So hopefully that makes sense. And that also gives you a lot of context to your traditional blocks. That way you're not just standing there and trying to go back and forth with this like your Kihons, right? You can add some movement to it where your front arm and your front leg work in sync. Even to the point where you are not letting go of this initial limb, right? And then it gets to that Tegumi touch sensitivity type of drill where my body weight's kind of following where this limb is going, and I can feed it to my second limb, right? Hope that makes sense.